All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to evaluate expressions with rational exponents. So what we're going to do is we're going to be evaluating each expression. So we have 64 to the 2/3 power. Now how this is going to kind of work, and it works kind of similar in the ways a lot of math works, is we like to break things down to simpler tasks. So simpler processes to achieve the final answer. So what I'm going to start with is a 64 to the 2/3. Now what I'm going to do is this exponent of 2/3, I'm going to break that apart. So here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be the same as 64, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top number, the numerator, the 2, I'm going to put that on the outside. And my denominator of 3, that's going to become 1/3 on the inside. Now a lot of people are just like, well, I'm only splitting these apart because, well, Mr. Hall told me to. The reason being is these are equivalent expressions, because if you have 64 to the 1/3, you have a 2 on the outside. Properties of exponents say we multiply these together, this 2 times this 1/3. And if you take 2 times 1/3, well, 2 times 1 is 2, and then that 3 on the bottom stays there. So 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. So if you multiply this 2 in times that 1/3, we're still going to end up with 2/3 there. So these are the same. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and simplify this even more. So I'm going to kind of forget about that 2 for now. Let's just work on the inside. So I have 64 to the 1/3 power. And if you've watched my previous video, we know that 64 to the 1/3 power is the same as the third root of 64. And then we have that 2 on the outside. So we're almost ready to evaluate this expression. What we're going to do is we're going to go and figure out, well, third root of 64. And the best way to do that is to work with a table of powers, which the way this came up is we have values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each of my rows is number 1 through 10. And my columns is x squared, x to the third, x fourth, x to the fifth. So what I did, so for example, I'm going to use 3 here. So 3 squared is 9. 3 to the third power is 27. 3 to the fourth power is 81. 3 to the fifth power is 243. So you could take any of these numbers like 5 squared, 5 to the third, 5 to the fourth, 5 to the fifth, and fill them all in. This would be extremely useful to help us because remember, radicals is the opposite and works kind of the opposite direction as our exponents do. So it's going to help us work backwards. So if I have the third root of 64, what I'm looking for is what to the third power is 64. Now the way you use this table is, here's how it works. So we're asking what to the third power. Well, first off, I know I'm going to look at this column, x to the third, because I'm wondering what to the third power. So this column. And I want to know what to the third power is 64. So I'm going to look for, well, is 64 in this column? And it is. So I need to know what to the third power is 64. Well, if we work backwards here and go all the way to the left, you get 4. Because 4 to the third power is 64. So I start up here, find my number, go back to my single digits. So 4 to the third power is 64. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this third root of 64 with a 4. Next thing I have is that I still have that 2 on the outside. So I've simplified the inside of the parentheses here, and I'm going to work my way out. So 4 squared is going to be 16. So that would be our answer there. Next one, we have 16 to the negative 3/4 power. Now I'm going to use another property of exponents there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down this negative 3/4. First thing I see there is that negative. Now that's a very popular property of exponents that comes up, but everyone seems to forget it. Whenever you have anything to a negative power, it's just 1 divided by whatever you had originally, but take away the negative. So it's 1 over 16 to the 3/4. So anytime you have a negative, that changes it to a fraction, 1 over whatever you just had. Now all that's left to do is simplify the 16 to the 3/4. And I'm going to do that the same way I did it earlier. So 1 over 16 to the 3/4. So I have a 1 on top. If I'm going to have 3/4, remember we're going to break it down in parentheses. Separate the 3 and the 4. So I'm going to have 16 to the 1/4 on the inside and 3 on the outside. Now remember again, this is going to work. So top number on the outside, bottom number, bottom of my fraction there. If I take 3 times 1/4, I'm still going to get 3/4. So let's evaluate this down. So 16 to the 1/4, we talked about this in my earlier video, that's the 4th root of 16 to the 3rd power. So now I need to ask myself, what to the 4th power is 16? So what to the 4th power is 16? So I'm going to start with the x to the 4th column. I'm asking what to the 4th power is 16? Well, here's 16, so I'm going to x to the 4th column, come down to 16. Well, what to the 4th power gets me this? 2. So I'm going to get a 2 there. I kind of ran out of room there. I'm going to rewrite that over here. So I'm going to have 1 over 2 to the 3rd power. Well, what's 2 to the 3rd power? Well, if you're not really sure, you could use a calculator. If you didn't have one, use a table. So 2 to the 3rd power, well, that's 8. So I get 1/8. And that was evaluating expressions with rational exponents.